In the pixelated hush of a pre-dawn scroll, where Seoul's skyline bled indigo into the Han's reluctant ripple, a 9-second clip flickered to life on Taehyung's Instagram story like a match struck in a blackout theater. His finger prodding Jin's shoulder with the tentative precision of a kid testing a frozen pond, voice pitching up at the end, "Happy birthday?" As if the question mark were a shield against the sentiment's spill. The world's largest fandom army awoke to it in staggered waves. Manila's monsoons muting the giggles, London's fog fingering the freeze-frame blush creeping up his neck, and within minutes, the internet's undercurrents churned it into a riptide of gems exclamations. That uniquely Korean ache for something so achingly sweet it borders on sabotage. What no one caught in the clip's candid chaos was the prelude. Taehyung's off-camera fidget, a half-rehearsed soliloquy crumpled in his pocket like a love letter too earnest to send. His cheeks already blooming crimson before the poke, as if the mere act of naming affection aloud were a dare he'd lost the coin toss to accept. And Jin, ever the unflappable Hyung with his worldwide handsome grin etched like a trademark, spun around not to tease but to envelop, his "thank you my bro, I love you," bro landing like a life raft in the tide of Taehyung's self-conscious swell, the hug sealing a secret only siblings in stardom could share. Their bond had always been the septet's quiet comet trail, a gravitational pull forged in the fluorescent-lit grind of trainee dorms where midnight ramen raids doubled as therapy sessions, Jin's dad jokes the only antidote to the agency's relentless recalibration of dreams into deadlines. By December 2025, with the military mandate's mandatory intermissions finally fracturing into full reunion, J-Hope's October thaw melting into Suga's spring vigil, Jin's solo jaunts echoing like previews of the collective crescendo, the air in HYB's labyrinth hummed with the half-formed harmonics of homecoming. Taehyung, discharged in October's amber haze, had re-entered the fold like a shadow slipping back into its source. Duffel slung low, thermos of barley tea a talisman against the chill of rekindled rigor, his frame leaner from barracks banal brigade, sinews strung taut as bass strings after a year of salutes over solos. The ground floor expanse in Yongsan, that vaulted vessel of mirrors and metronomes, had become their provisional pantheon, whiteboard palimpsests of eclipse phases sketching hiatus arcs and dry erase divinations, the basketball hoop a dormant deity overlooking their sprawls. Jin's birthday slotted in like a grace note amid the grind. No grand gala, just a sliver of downtime in the schedule's serrated edge. The Hyung's 33rd, a milestone measured not in candles but in the quiet calculus of years bartered for mythos. Taehyung had plotted the wish like a heist, his loft's low-slung chaise a command center where lyric folios mingled with doodle-riddled notebooks, hybrid beasts with treble clef horns glaring from the margins as if judging his indecision. The night before, he'd paced the exposed brick airy balcony vista of the Han's obsidian undulation mocking his mutterings, drafts of dedications ranging from the poetic, "Hyung, you've been our moon in the mess, pulling tides through the tempests," to the absurd, a half-scribbled rap about Jin's super tuna supremacy that dissolved into giggles at the third rhyme. Shyness struck like stage fright's sly cousin, not from spotlight scrutiny but the spotlight's intimacy. How do you encapsulate a Hyung who'd turned his trainee awkwardness into armor? His dad bought into dad vibes that anchored the chaos of Seven Souls sync to stadium symphonies? Enlistment had amplified it, those barracks nights where voice memos smuggled snippets of blue and gray to Weverse wards, Jin's replies a beacon of banter. Save the emo for the encore, kid, eat your kimchi first. But absence had etched the affection deeper, turning every reunion riff into a revelation of reliance. By dawn he'd whittled it to the poke. A playful prod to pierce the profundity, the question mark a feint to fend off the flush he knew would follow. The moment materialized in a sliver of stolen serenity. The septet's midday muster adjourned early for Jin's nominal off, though off in comeback calculus meant merely off the whiteboard, not the wheel. The Annex Lounge, a nook of neutral beiges and ergonomic perches where Ramian rings scarred side tables like battle scars, served as stage. Jin lounging with a mandu midway to mouth, legs akimbo in that effortless sprawl that screamed Hyung privilege, scrolling Weverse dispatches with the serene detachment of someone who'd mastered the art of adoration without its atrophy. Taehyung hovered at the periphery, thermos clutched like a clutch piece. His ingress a stealthy sidle past the Pilates ball still dented from Jungkook's punctuation kicks. Heart hammering a halftime trap beat, part nerves, part the nagging notion that his solo scaffold couldn't quite span the septet's symphonic summons. He positioned behind, finger extending like a divining rod dowsing for the right rhythm. The poke landed light as a feather's flick, shoulder yielding under touch, And the words tumbled out. Happy birthday? The lilt lifting at the end, a query laced with the quiver of one who'd rehearsed profundity only to pivot to playfulness, cheeks igniting in a betraying blaze that no dimple could deflect. Jin's spin was instantaneous, grin unfurling like a well-worn script, eyes crinkling into the crescents that had launched 1,000 fan forensics. Thank you, my bro, I love you, bro. The bro's repetition a rhythmic reassurance, arms unfolding to fold him in. The hug a harbor where Taehyung's tension thawed into tentative tremor. Up close, the Hyung's cologne, something citrus-sharp with the undercurrent of sandalwood, redolent of their trainee-era cologne swipes, mingled with the mandu's faint steam, a sensory shorthand for stability amid the septet's seismic shifts. Taehyung stiffened for a split second, the affections avalanched by his own overthink. Was the poke too puerile for 33? The question too quirky for the gravity of gratitude? But Jin's hold held firm, a fraternal force field fending off the flush, his whisper weaving through the wool of Taehyung's sweater. The poke's perfect, keeps the ghosts goofy. Laughter bubbled up then, Taehyung's first unfiltered since the booth's buckle the night prior, the sound a scat syllable scattering the shyness like confetti in a confessional. What the clip captured in its candid crop, what fans freeze-framed into filigree edits, layering heart emojis over the hug like latticework on a love letter, was the Ternyata Karina Aini. The shyness not from spotlight sting but spotlight softness, the blush blooming from the bounty of brotherhood too bountiful to bottle neatly. Taehyung's rehearsals had ricocheted through ridiculous revisions, a full sonnet on Jin's moon, as metaphor for their mutual mooring, scrapped for sounding like a soliloquy from a Shakespearean stint. A prankish plot to serenade with super tuna, in falsetto, vetoed when Yoongi overheard and deadpanned, save the seafood for the Hyung's actual dinner. The poke emerged as antidote to artifice, a tactile telegram translating the title truth. Jin, the Hyung who'd herded them through debuts delirium and hiatuses hollows, deserved not declamations but the daffy delight of a digit to the deltoid. The question mark a quirky query querying if affection could ever outpace absurdity. In that interstitial instant before the septet's summons pulled them back to the expanse's orbits, Hoseok's diagonals diagramming, Namjoon's metrics murmuring, the hug harvested the heart of it, vulnerability veiled in vaudeville, the weight of worlds unseen lightened by the whimsy of well-worn woes. The viral vortexed outward from there, the clip's 9 seconds a ninefold nectar nourishing the fandom's nectarines. Army's archipelago alight with gems glossaries, Manila matinees muting monsoons for me marathons, London's lofts looping the lilt until laughter leaked from keyholes. Forums fermented the filigree, psych savants in Perth parsing the poke as performer's paradox, adoration's anchor alchemized into adorable awkwardness, curators in Busan conjecturing it homage to hiatus's harvest, shyness the soil where sibling seeds sprouted strongest. Taehyung, thermos refilled for the afternoon's afterburn, caught glimpses in the green room's glow. Fan filigrees fracture fabling his flesh into fable, a Taegu dispatch darning solitude into solidarity. Your question mark is our question answered. Love's the leak we live for. It refracted the ripple, K-pop's coliseum where idols' intimacies are commodified into content, yet in such slips lay salvation, humanizing the haloed with the hilarity of the half-baked. The pressure of perfection punctured by a prod's playful pop as the solstice's eve silvered Yongsan's spires under lunar leniency. The septet sealed their sweep in cue-free catharsis, bodies blurring into braid unbreakable against the sodium scrim. Hoseok's benediction blooming into breakdowns of embraces. Ether-etched. Taehyung lingered in the afterimage, folio furled like fragile truce, the poke's prelude now a private psalmody. Shyness not sabotage but sacrament. The because a bridge from booth's isolation to brotherhood's bastion, where one digit's daffy dared the deeps of devotion. Minji alcove monitored from afar, deleted drafts in the clink of saucers, her catalyst quiet commuted to quietude. The resonance rippled radial, reverence's republic radial rippled. Empathy's fortresses from fragment forms, unseen exertions ellipsis elegy, industry's nuance nudged, luminosity's lessons from leaks, pauses penciled protocols. High-rises half-harmonies hummed, army lounges aches archived, whisper wove wider. Tapestry tenacity textured by tethered touch, pressures pledged to shared spaces. Taehyung twilight thoroughfares threaded, snow silent under street lamp scrutiny, gallery graffito glimpsed, eternal 7 silhouettes, and exhaled into ether. Ellipses embrace, not endpoints echo veiled vulnerability vaulting veiled vista. indelible ink of us all in idle intimate interstice. In that exhale's elegant ellipsis, the poke proved prophetic, affection's awkward ascent, a single shy syllable summoning the stars to smile, the gallery's glyph, a spray-painted septet in eternal sprawl, silvered against the pane like a talisman etched in twilight, faded into the rear view of Taehyung's stride, his breath a vapor veil dissolving into the snow-silent streets, where street lamps cast scrutiny like spotlights on an unscripted stage. Puddles prismed his passage in fractured reflections, jaws base clef curve and eyes etched hollows mirroring the ad's banal beckons. Tonics for tired skins promising erasure, Jeju escapes evading the exertions they elided, irony's inkling that perfection's polish could never buff away the blush of being seen. Wever's pulsed purple in his palm, a private aurora amid the public pall, thumb scrolling the leak's literal, fan filigree's fracture fabling his flush into fable, a Taegu dispatch darning solitude into solidarity. Your question mark is our question answered. Love's the leak we live for. The words a needle through velvet, threading the shy syllable into something shared, a communal confetti from his candid crop. The loft's austere hush chimed with the elevator's cessation, doors parting to the expanse, where exposed ducts traced ceilings like unwound tapes, layover's lacquer gleaming beside a turntable arm poised in perpetual prelude. Chase collapsed under him, folio unfurling across his lap like a map to uncharted marrow, the booth's raw export cued on his phone. Bridge buckle yop echoed, ghost shake, coda a coda that now carried the poke's playful palliation. Folio's feathered ink blooms bruised the pages, metaphors for marrow marks of barracks marches unmaking multiplicity, voice memos contraband cadence to the collective. Thermos tipped in ritual, barley's bite chasing the booth's brine, notebook nook migrated. Hybrids of treble-horned beasts and eighth fractal wings, septet symbols unspoken, now annotated with a doodle of a poking finger crowned with a question mark halo. Jin's grin a goofy grail at its tip. Sleep arrived in fits, fragmented by dreams where Teguseller solos dissolved into Dodger decibel delirium, barracks blank brigades blurring with the annex's beige nook, mirrors morphing into mess hall. Bunks, the hoop a noose in windless night. Dawn sliced the skyline at 5:47, rose gold blind blade rousing revival. Jen make a ginger sharp as a minor seventh sipped on the balcony, city exhaling nocturnal residue, high rises blinking eyes to unwelcome light. Notebook talisman thumb to translucence, addendums accruing. Signatures stylized into sigils, phoenix fused with emoji wings, verses grappling gravity's give and take. Now laced with a line on pokes that pierced the profound, turning tides to tickles. Mid-January's brittle chill tarnished the skyline silver, Han's crust cracking under fairy weights, mornings an insurgency against winter's inertia. Pre-alarm rising, frost-laced floors padded to the kettle's dawn hymns whistling steam into first-draft refrains. Conservatory dreams of indie scoring herded by gig economy to K Coliseum, toolkit talisman against glamour's gravitational tug. BTS anomalies sacred slotted, Yongsen forge glimpsed half door, mirrors winking clipboard secrets. Taehyung's aura registered duffalo slung, corridor oblique silhouette elongated, quiet nod carrying unvoiced world's weight. Enlistment ether attributed frame tensile, bowstring disuse drawn, leak small sprawl pilfered, wire whisper complicity net untied, it will be monolith of glass resolve loomed, lobby hush with security nods, elevators chiming unanswered questions. Ground floor hummed preparatory, technicians rig tweaking, mirrors gleaming accusation bordering. Jimin arrived tray matcha fogged photo rings, theatrical bows distributing. Fractured fuel, dreamer extra shot. Taehyung mock salute ceramic warmth chasing fingertip chill, easy orbit falling. Prior pivot wrist flick demonstrating, exaggerated jazz hands counter devolving snickers, acoustics amplifying alchemy auditory almost. Yoongi hood low bed tousled thermos contraband clutched, speaker stack settling, cued bridge cut velvet rasp incense filling space, nascent approval nods drawing. Septet coalesced 8:30, Namjoon satchel bulging annotated scores, latte steam glasses fogging. Jungkook earbuds vestigial dangling pillar shadowboxing footwork variations. Jean Mandu bag sauntering foil steam rising paternal precision portioning. Eat or mirrors eat alive. Hosiak convener transforming sprawl structure. Wall unfurled whiteboard palimpsest arrows annotations. Dry erase precision sketching choreography spine. Hiatus art cosmic evoking phases. Eclipse. Emergence. Reversed. Shrine pilgrims circled fingers trajectories tracing. Voices layering queries qualifiers. Measured cadence Namjoon's drop tighter, river feels banks breaking. Spark without arcing livewire energy Hoseok's rise looser. Let bodies breathe break. Collective calibration breathwork standing waves. Multiplicity mirrors eyes closed. Auroras anchoring navel's palms as if. First felt resonance Taehyung. Room latent frequency low vibration sinking inhales. Pervasive presences peripheral no longer. Each exhalation thread reweaving fraternity frayed fabric. Guillotine-like dropping Q Hoseok's. Igniting 120 BPM click-track plunge. Bodies launching opener orbit. Quadrants oak-carved diagonal traverses. Casual tangle photo evoke transient triads interlocking arms elegy elevated. Midway demanded counterpoint solo Taehyung stage left sketch position. Spiraling 3 counts floor descent knees origami folding gravity under. Improvisational flourishes lace descent. Imagine spotlight tilting head catch. Wrist snapping jazz tinged ripple. Divergent dozen destinies motion fracturing mirrors. Surface syncopation skirmishes. Eliciting ripple resets Jungkook's overzealous torque line askew pulling cluster pivot during. Drawing approving whoops Jin's ad-libbed flourish covered. Yoongi's subtle sidestep hamstring hitch mask. Navigated Taehyung's own eddies. Enlistment echo rigid salutes clashing sequence fluidity helix surge fleeting freeze. Resolve channeling depth into. Transmuted burn barrier from ballast snap sharper crouch deeper. Midway halted flow tablet hand Hoseok. Devolved dissection portable screen replays. Frozen frames near misses. Counterpoint like lacing laughter critique. Directed Hoseok see that? Tae's ribs river in lean it into. His praise prism refracting elevation effort into. Absorb Taehyung nod with surging voltage quiet validation spent sinews through. Intruded noon carts. Steaming sections bibimbap bowls arrayed color theory studies banchan platters. Cross-legged floor echoes photo repose septet. Rhythmic repartee clacking chopsticks. Cascaded conversation cosmology choreography from. Metaphor multiplicity there for entanglement quantum tangent Namjoon's. Retort dry Yoongi's post-tour earbuds tangled likening. Interjection Jimin's story fans lightstick formation mimicking V-poses Vancouver's veil rain. Sparingly first contributed Taehyung savoring Jigi's slow burn. Warmed confession to but. Makes work feel witnessed. Hits note before breath mid-frozen like it's that photo. Midway Mandu mouth to lean Jean witnessed. Now worshipped. Yeah but Bay Ghosts keeps. Fell table improvised creates the tacit toast tempest through tethered tenacity, lingering admission aftertaste like beat mastication into. Unfurled afternoon undulations energy ebbing exploratory eddies into. Daring discipline duet forms their drills precision Jungkook's shadowed Taehyung paired practices where. Capturing mirrors contrast, rookies razor versus veterans velvet, then rotating vignettes vocal adjacent booth through. Tested tracks tensile strength harmonic helices in tenor. Jimin's with braiding baritone Taehyung's. Crept dusk gradients in, frosting edges windows as if glass itself exhaled exhaustion the winding session toward wind down full run through unencumbered cues. By pure propulsion choreography coalescing into catharsis, blurring bodies single silhouette against haze sodium. Echoed call final Hoseok's like benediction. Resounding room claps with collapses and embraces exchanged afterglow the inn. Murmured now map where a ceiling deposit days the frame Taehyung's enveloping hug bare Namjoon's. Filtered they into evening's embrace as, carrying faint echo egress there. Fading footsteps into hush harborside Hans. Corridors complexes the pause Taehyung vending machine at. Procuring chilled soda fizz mirrored sessions effervescence whose. Bloomed feeds unchecked till now thumb under the. Proliferating progeny photos fan arts fusing framets with motif solstice. Threading theories choreo hints to whispers wevers. Galvanizing global guardians granular gratitude. Pierce scroll the from student soul a nursing own hiatus harmonics. Your sprawl says we're all mid-rehearsal, keep turning the page. Stepping into chill where snow swirled like suspended staffs, pocketed device he, luminescence latent by lit lives ledger a city's lights the onward wove weak the warp and weft in. Stacking sessions like sedimentary strata. Mapping melodic migrations motifs to Mondays. Built ballast for tours tidal demands biceps into biting bands resistance weights to Wednesdays. Brimmed interludes with intimacy. Impromptu jams where clashed gloriously faux operatics falsetto gins with gruff growls Yoongi's. Circling hoop like secular sacraments ciphers hip-hop Hoseok's. Etched evolution Taehyung's in increments. Sharpening solos from solitary sketches to symphonic statements his. Infusing jazz undercurrents traps tautness with title give the monuments to mastery mirrors no longer multiplicities of mockery but fizzled frictions and flared. A yielding to verse veined with both precision narrative Namjoon's met metaphorical meanders his where lock lyric a. Mended by mutual massage and mandu-fueled mirth formation the frayed fatigue where pull pivot a.by solstice's eve as Yongsan's spire silvered under lunar sheen, stood studio as sanctum forged the tempered tracks to translucence, chiseled choreography to choreography's quintessence, self-sustaining symphony as synergy septets the mark they with minimal markup. A raised thermos's photos echo the on-circle oka traded toasts to thresholds crossed. Clicking camera one last candid in tone Jungkook to the sprawl that started it, amplified Hoseok and the surge that seals it. His grin a gateway. Felt Taehyung at arc's apex the fulcrum shift, not from individual ignition to collective corona, but from rehearsal's rigor to revelation's reach, their labor a lighthouse lancing the hiatus's hazed iron broader bay of becoming the mirrored machinations their multitudes, forging fans' fortresses from the footage's fire, iterating industries on their innovation, cantilevered K-pop cosmos toward a cadence kinder to creators. Glimpse Taehyung threading homeward through snow-silent streets, in it a busker's bold ballad under bridge lights, the echo of their endeavor rippling realms where one band's bespoke becoming beckoned the boundless to belong, etching not endpoint but endless ellipse in the ether of art. The Poke's legacy lingered longest in that ether, a daffy digit daring the deeps, turning shyness's swell into a swell of shared silliness, where one brother's blush became the fandom's bomb, affection's awkward arc arcing toward the absurdly eternal.